All right, it is time, baby. So, the summer season of anime is quick approaching and the spring season is coming to a closure, which means this is the perfect time and opportunity for me to make a tier list and share my thoughts and reviews about the shows that I have watched this season. And now, I'm not gonna waste your time with an intro about how good the shows this season have been, because chances are, if you are watching this video, you already know how good this season has been, the spring season of 2023. It has been one of the best seasons of anime in a long, long time in terms of the sheer number of high-quality shows in that season. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so this is going to be our tier list, just some background information. The layout is going to go from S to D. B basically means good, C is below average, D is I highly do not recommend, A is excellent, and S is God tier. For a show to be in S tier, just for reference, it has to be a show that does something exceptionally well or does multiple things to an outstanding level. If I rate a show in A tier, that basically means this show is very, very good. A show in A tier is a very top tier show. A show in S tier is a god level show that you probably need to watch. So, also one more thing before I start. I know there are a lot of shows in the did not watch category, which means these are shows that I have no comment on because I did not watch them. That being said, do keep in mind that the number of shows that I have watched are 28 shows. And listen, if you're someone who can watch more than 28 shows, you're more than welcome to share your opinion on how much my review doesn't matter, because I haven't watched all of the shows in this season, but I have a life and I cannot actually watch more than 28. In fact, just as a point of reference, on a normal average anime season, I watch like 2 shows per season. This season, I watched 28. That's more than... man, that's like 14 times the number of shows I normally watch or something along those lines. Anyway, let's begin. So, the first show we have on the list is, what's this one? I believe this is called Magical Destroyers. So, this show, I'm gonna be honest with you, I only watched 4 episodes of it, and from the 4 episodes I saw, it is not that interesting. Well, the concept itself is interesting, but unfortunately the show, I know that the animators have worked hard on this show, but the story, the premise, it's not really that good for it to be pushed anywhere beyond D tier, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I do not think that this is that good of a show. In fact, the other show that I'm probably going to put in D tier is going to be my one-hit kill sister, or whatever this is called. So this show is about a dude with his sister, and his sister is overpowered. You can probably tell from the name, my one-hit kill sister. There are a bunch of kind of weird, incest. It's kind of baiting that type of audience, but it doesn't fully commit into it. It's not like complete garbage like, what's it called, My Domestic Girlfriend, or whatever that was. But actually, you know what? The opening of this show is really good, and because of the opening and the fact that the animation is also good, I will put it in C. Because I am judging, do keep in mind that I am judging the overall quality of these shows, not just the story. While yes, the story plays a major factor, the story is not the end-all be-all. I'm judging the overall quality of the show, how much effort has been put into it. And when it comes to this one, the animation is okay, but like the music is meh, the story is super boring in my opinion. The premise is fine, but the anime does not really take it anywhere, so it will remain in D. Raeliana found herself in the Duke's Mansion, or Why Princess Raeliana Found Herself in the Duke's Mansion. I don't know, these titles are super long. This show is honestly... interesting. I think this show is an A tier. Hot take, I think this show is an A tier. I know that the vast majority of people would put this show in B, but from what I have seen, and by the way, in this tier list, I will be trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but this show has a lot of political intricacies and a lot of meaningful dialogue. Like, most of the dialogue in this show is not bloated, which is something that a lot of villainous animes tend to have, or tend to suffer from. And this show doesn't really have that to a great extent. Plus, the story is quite interesting. The production is good. It's nothing insane. The production isn't insane, but it does serve what it's supposed to serve. If you are someone who is interested in villainous animes, I'm personally not, but I did enjoy this show, and if I'm someone that doesn't like villainess animes and I did enjoy this show, then there is a high chance that other people who do like villainess shows will really like this one. And then we have I Got Re... Nah, dude, nah, this is D tier. What is happening right now? Dude, all of the garbage shows are like in the first row or something. Anyway, this one, he got some dude, or he got reincarnated twice, or he finished a game twice. Yeah, this is the premise. And after finishing the game the second time, he goes into basically New Game Plus, and then starts recruiting all of the characters that he met and played with in his previous playthrough. The concept is very interesting. The show doesn't take it anywhere. It is super boring, and this is a extremely generic show. It is insane how generic this show is, and I honestly would not recommend it to anyone. In fact, I would be insulting you if I recommended this show to you. And then we have, what is this one? Oh, the Otaku Elf. Otaku Elf is, again, this... I want to put it in D tier, but it's not a garbage show. I will put it in C tier. It is below average, but it's not... it is below average, but it's not too bad. It's basically just another otaku hot girl anime where you have the hottest possible girl you can ever find, but somehow she doesn't exercise, she doesn't go outside, she doesn't eat healthy, she's perfect without doing any work on herself, and she's a gamer. So if you like these type of shows, she is cute, but again, the premise for me is stupid and boring, so I would not necessarily recommend the show. But I will say this, C tier, there's a significant difference for me between C and D, much bigger than the difference between C and B. So for what it's worth, I don't think that C is necessarily a bad tier. C is basically just below average. And this is Yuri Is My Life. Okay, Ranking of Kings. So, Ranking of Kings is a very good show, honestly. I would say that this season is not as good as what I have seen previously. So, listen, if this was any of the previous episodes that I have watched before this season, I would put this in S+, or in S. I apologize, there is no S+. I would put this in S. But from what I have seen right now, this is a solid show. This is a solid season. Maybe it is building for something in the future. Keep in mind, I did not read the original source material for this story, so I do not know what's going to happen in the future. That being said, from what I have seen so far, it is an A-tier show. In fact, I do think this is the highest A-tier show on this entire tier list. It probably will remain this way, from what I've seen. And now, oh, Hell's Paradise. Hell's Paradise. I'll be honest with you. Out of all the shows that came out this season, Hell's Paradise was the one I was excited for the most. But unfortunately, this show, it did not deliver. It's not bad. It is probably an A-tier show, if I'm being honest. It is not that show. But I was expecting something. This is one of the dark trio, they call it, the dark shonen trio, which basically comprises of this one, Hell's Paradise, Chainsaw Man, and Jujutsu Kaisen. And everyone knows how good Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen are, so a lot of people probably expected Hell's Paradise to meet those exact same quality standards. And while I will say this, the music is very good, the story is kinda and the animation is also Which, in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I might be overly generous putting this show in A tier. I will be honest, I might be overly generous. Let me tell you why. Hell's Paradise, for me, was my most anticipated show, but it disappointed me on many levels because the animation is subpar. Well, it's not terrible. In fact, no, actually, let me be fair. The animation isn't bad, but it's way below the quality that MAPPA has made us used for. MAPPA is a company that produces very good, high-quality animated shows. And Hell's Paradise does not meet those standards. You can obviously tell that there are production problems. You can obviously tell that MAPPA is currently being cramped up with so many shows. They have Vinland Saga, they have Attack on Titan, they have Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. They're working on so many things that unfortunately Hell's Paradise got the short end of the stick, and because of that, I will honestly put it at the bottom of A tier. I might move it to B tier later in this video, but I'll keep it here for now. Also, something else that bothers me with this show is that I don't know if this is the same case in the manga, I'm not sure, but it could be the case with the manga. But this show treats the audience like complete idiots. The amount of dialogue bloat, the amount of exposition that they have is way, way, way too overabundant and unnecessary. There is a scene where one of the villains quite literally tells one of the protagonists everything they need to know. It's like, what are you doing? You are telling them how to kill your god. Anyway, this show, again, I was super excited for it. Didn't turn out that well. And then we have My Home Hero. So, My Home Hero is a show that started off very, very good. It had a very strong start. But unfortunately, the overall speaking, the story is interesting, but the story is interesting enough, but it's not overly complex and it's not mind-blowing. I honestly expect most of what's going to happen to actually happen. So for me, this show is mid. It is quite literally mid. If the word mid meant anything these days. The word mid no longer means anything. Right now, anything that's not God tier, people just say it's mid. I will say it's either high C or low B. This is probably going to be the lowest B tier show for me. Again, the story is interesting enough, it is good enough, the animation isn't that good, the music isn't that good, so overall, the show is, again, it is, if mid meant anything, it is mid. And now we have Heavenly Delusion. So, when Heavenly Delusion started, it was over here for me. After 3 episodes, it was over here. After 6 episodes, it was over here. But then the last episode came, and Heavenly Delusion is back over here. This show is an absolute banger. Out of all the S tier shows, Heavenly Delusion is the weakest one, but it is also a very, very good show nonetheless. And what makes Heavenly Delusion so good is that it has so much setup and so much foreshadowing that the exposition that gets done early in the first early episodes gets paid off so well later on. There is a scene that happens at the final episode. If you pay attention to that scene, it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. If you pay attention to that scene, when I saw that scene where I believe her name is Mimihime, she gives the white-haired guy, his name is Shiro, her pin. This is not really a spoiler because if you saw that scene, you should know what it means. If you understand what this scene means, it completely blew my mind. It gave me chills to my bone. This show is amazing. It is so good. So, again, it's probably the weakest of the S tier shows, but still definitely an S tier show. And then we have Over the Moon for You. This is, honestly, I don't have much to say about this show. It is a fun show. It has a married couple, which is a rare thing, honestly. I really like it. It is cute, it is wholesome, and it does what it's supposed to do quite well. It is an efficient show, so I will have it probably high A tier, and it will stay there. Again, I do recommend this show. And next we have, okay, thank God, we have a bunch of good shows. So next we have, I believe this one is called Dead Mount Deathplay, if I'm not wrong. And this show is holy shit, such a bait first few episodes. Because the amount of plot twists that happen during the final few episodes of this show are insane. And I believe the author of this show is also the same as Durarara, if I'm not, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I think they have the same author, which means that the story is honestly very interesting. The animation is also good. And, well, the first episode, I'm not gonna spoil what happens later, but I'll tell you what happens in the first episode. The main villain of one world gets killed, and then he gets isekai'd into the real world. And from there onwards, he has to basically live out the story in the real world in the body of a little kid. And what happens later on completely changes what we knew in the first episode. It's such a good plot twist, and this show is extremely fun to watch. It's not a deep story that is mind-blowing, but again, it is a very, very good show to watch. Probably better than Hell's Paradise. Again, Hell's Paradise would be higher if it was not... if it didn't treat the audience like idiots and had better animation. And we have then Skip and Loafer, or Skip to Loafer. So, Skip to Loafer is another very, very good banger show. Now, it's not S tier yet. I wouldn't say it is S tier for me. I do think that this show does have S tier potential later on if it does get more seasons. But for now, I think this is... in my honest opinion, I did enjoy Over the Moon for You more than Skip to Loafer. But I do think that Skip to Loafer is still a very, very good show that you will enjoy if you watch it. Because the characters are extremely enjoyable and the jokes are actually funny. So yeah, if you like comedy, lighthearted shows that focus on, well, slice of life, then you will like this show. And a show that is also very similar to Skip to Loafer, at least in terms of genre, slice of life, is Insomniacs After School. And Insomniacs After School, from my experience, it reminds me of, if you remember Call of the Night, Insomniacs After School gives me that same vibe. It's not, obviously, the two shows are of completely different genres, but both shows have very similar vibes. They are very relaxing to watch. Now, I personally was not very interested in this show, but I am not rating my personal interest. I'm rating it, this is a tier list based on how well I would recommend this show to other people. And in my opinion, this is indeed an A-tier show. It is well written, the music is good, the animation is good enough. Obviously, this show doesn't need crazy animation, so the animation we have is good enough. And the premise is interesting, so you guys can watch it, and if you do like slice of life that focuses... I'll give you just a short summary of the first few episodes. There are two students who have insomnia, and they basically meet each other. They kinda, sort of, maybe fall in love, and then they spend a bunch of time with each other and talk about stuff. If you like this, if you think that this is an interesting premise, now obviously I know what I said sounds boring, but the show does it really well, so don't worry if you watch this show, if you watch Insomniacs After School, it will be interesting. And then we have Loving Yamada Level 999. First episode, this show was here. 5 episodes later, this show was here. 8 episodes later, this show became here, and now that this show is basically over, this show is going to stay in B tier. Now, I wouldn't say it is worse than... let me put it in a different way. It is better than My Home Hero. That doesn't mean My Home Hero is bad. Again, it is mid. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that Loving Yamada-kun is a very, very good show. I know I'm putting it in B, but the reason I'm putting it in B is because the show is good, but it's not good beyond the... It's basically as good could be. It's not too good. It's not excellent. I don't know how to explain it. Why am I explaining this so poorly? Dude, what the hell did I just say? I'm thinking about what I just said from the perspective... I'm not even gonna cut this part, by the way. You will listen to this. I'm thinking about what I just said from the perspective of the viewers, and you're watching this, you probably didn't understand a word that I just said. Anyway, this show is about a gamer. It has a cute girl in, I believe she's in college. Yeah, she's in college. She falls in love with him, and they meet online. They talk to each other. The guy is super boring. The main character, the female main character, is actually interesting. Now, she is kind of weird, and not weird in a scary way. She's kind of weird, and like she is a hot mess. But both characters are cute. They're just not too interesting, but they are good enough. Again. The story, the animation... In fact, you know what? No, the animation is very good, but the story is good enough. So, it's better. And now we have this garbage. It's in D. So, this show is basically... it's probably the best out of the D tier shows, so I'll just put it at high D. Not like high D means anything, but I'll keep it at high D. This show is, I think it's called I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World and Became Unrivaled in the Real World as well. Do I even need to explain to you what happens in this show? The title already tells you everything. Like, bro, he got a cheat skill in another world, isekai'd into another world, and then he became unrivaled in the real world too. This is basically just a power fantasy. It is super boring and super generic. Next, we have QT Crisis. This is a cute show that is nothing beyond being cute. It's not, it's like Skip to Loafer if Skip to Loafer didn't have the aspects that make it good. So it is, for me, a below average show. It's not too bad, but it's not one that I would necessarily recommend unless you want something that is very specifically cute. Now, unfortunately, I want to put this show higher because I do think that it does have potential, but from what I have seen so far, I was not too impressed. And now, oh my lord, oh no. Oshi no Ko, my star. So, my star is probably the biggest new hit this season. It is the second most popular anime this season after Demon Slayer, and that says a lot because Demon Slayer is an enormous bar. Oshi no Ko, or My Star, is, for me, an S tier show. I already made a video about Oshi no Ko. You can, if you want to know why I think of it so highly, you can go watch that. Now, I will summarize it very quickly. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to summarize it. I'm not going to summarize it because I do not want to spoil the events, because if you're not someone who has watched this show, I highly recommend you watch episode 1. And after watching episode 1, you can judge for yourself whether you want to continue or not. But Oshi no Ko in general, it's an anime about idols, about the entertainment industry, acting, singing, all of that good stuff. That being said, it's not boring. It actually shows us the dark side of that industry. Now, there are sections of the show, as I said in my Oshi no Ko review, that were kind of boring and dialogue bloated. But episode 1, episode 10, and episode 11 are so good that they do fix the problems of the previous episodes and they do elevate the show to that next level. Now, do keep in mind, the episodes that were boring, I'm saying they are boring by the standards of how good this show is, which means a bad episode in Oshi no Ko would still qualify for A tier. Do you understand what I'm saying? A bad episode for Oshi no Ko is basically A tier. The worst episode that Oshi no Ko could produce is basically B tier. A bad episode in Oshi no Ko is A tier, and a normal episode in Oshi no Ko is S tier, and a godlike episode in Oshi no Ko is also S tier. So this show is very good. Trust me, I know it doesn't sound interesting at first, but it is very, very good once you get into it. And now we have this is called A Galaxy Next Door. In my opinion, I did enjoy this anime. I know a lot of people find it boring, but I would personally recommend it because I would recommend it if you are someone who specifically wants something to watch while you're eating. This is the perfect show to watch while you're eating. It's a cute show about a family, and it doesn't really do much, but at the same time, it's one that you can watch and have fun with. It's not, it is, again, it's mid. This is basically, the good tier became the mid tier, which is sad, but sure, whatever. It's a good show. Do keep in mind that B tier is not actually, like, I know I've been saying mid, but they're not really mid, they're actually good shows. Anyway, moving on to an explosion on this wonderful world. So, An Explosion on This Wonderful World is a Megumin spin-off of KonoSuba. By the way, do keep in mind that KonoSuba got an announcement for a 3rd season, which is very, very good. I do like this show. KonoSuba is one of the shows that got me into anime. The 4 shows that got me into anime were One Punch Man, Demon Slayer, KonoSuba, and Vinland Saga. And KonoSuba is a very high-quality show on its own. The spin-off, unfortunately, I do not think it matches the quality of KonoSuba itself, so I will put it at probably low A tier. It is a fun show to watch. The animation is very good. The music is good. The story is not interesting, but because the music and animation are good and the overall quality is high, I will put it at A. And then we have, oh my god, oh my lord, this season, Mashle. It's a very funny show. It's a very good show to watch. This is Black Clover / Harry Potter / One Punch Man / KonoSuba. This is such a good show. I really like it. I've enjoyed the hell out of this show. In fact, I will probably put it below Over the Moon for you. It's such a fun show to watch. And then we have KamiKatsu. KamiKatsu is the definition of a D tier show that is A tier. This show is insanely good. This show is so bad, it is so unbelievably garbage to the point that it is so good. And the reason it's so garbage is because the director and the studio working on the show, they made it garbage on purpose. So a cult leader dies, gets isekai, the son of a cult leader, he dies in the real world, and then he gets isekai'd into a isekai world that has no gods, and he finds a small lolly god in that world, in which he basically then starts to worship and begins to form a coalition and a new cult in order to get people to worship his god and grow his religion. The show itself is so bad, the story is so bad, the animation is so bad, the music is actually good, to the point that it's so funny, which makes this show an actual 80. It's insane how smart the studio behind this show is, because they knew they couldn't make a good show, so they made it so bad to the point that it is good. And then we have... Dude, KamiKatsu, trust me, KamiKatsu is good. Watch it. You will not regret what I'm saying. And then we have... what is this? Oh, Magus Bride. Magus Bride is also an A tier. If you liked Season 1 of Magus Bride, you're gonna like it. You're gonna like this one. If you did not like Season 1 of Magus Bride, you're probably not gonna like this one, because this is just a follow-up on the exact same story. It doesn't really transform that much, it just continues. And then we have Dr. Stone. And Dr. Stone, for me, this season was honestly B tier. And again, B tier is not bad. Remember, every time I put a show in B tier, I have to remind people that B tier is not bad. Just do keep in mind that B tier does not mean it's bad. The show is good, but Dr. Stone, this season, it wasn't that interesting to me, in my opinion. It was fine, it was okay, but nothing really that big happened, at least compared to the previous seasons, so I will keep it at B tier. Again, B is not bad. Don't think B is bad. And now let's move on to the next... What the hell am I watching? What is this? Did I watch this show? Hold up, I'm gonna have to... Bro, what is this? Am I blind? I'm actually blind. Oh! Witch from Mercury! Yeah, this is good, this is good. This is so good, in fact. Witch from Mercury is an extremely good show. Let me tell you why. I am someone that doesn't watch Gundam. I do not even like Gundam. And Witch from Mercury was one of my favorite shows of probably this entire year. It was so fun to watch. I didn't recognize it at first, my bad. But the poster is kind of small. But yeah, Witch from Mercury is such a good show. I really enjoyed it. The premise is very interesting. The story is very good. The animation is so good. The music is so good. This show isn't godlike at any one thing, but it is basically outstanding at almost everything. And because of that, it deserves a solid S tier spot. Now, actually, you know what? I wouldn't say it is better than Oshinoko, but I definitely think it is better than Heavenly Delusion. And then we have Dangers of My Heart, or Dangers in My Heart, whichever this one was. So Dangers in My Heart, when the anime started, it was a C tier for me. After a few episodes, the anime became a B tier, and after the final few episodes, Dangers in My Heart, a show about a lonely kid and another girl that is basically, she's a mukbang cute anime girl that kind of likes the lonely crazy kid, became an A tier show for me. In fact, Dangers, is it better than Ranking of Kings? You know what? I was wrong. It is after the final episode of, after the last few episodes of Dangers in My Heart, I do think it is better than Ranking of Kings. this is my honest assessment. This show, the ending was very good, so it is worth watching, and I do highly recommend it. Again, I do not think it's an S tier show. Maybe later in the future if we get some crazy character development in season 2. But for now, I would say it is a very, very solid A tier. And now cometh the end. The two shows... These are probably the two most polarizing shows this season, because these shows, people who watch them, they're like Mid-Slayer and Vinland Saga. So, Mid-Slayer and Vinland Saga. If you are someone who watches Mid-Slayer and Vinland Saga, and unironically calls them Mid-Slayer and Vinland Saga, never mind, I'm not even sorry. You are an idiot. Demon Slayer and Vinland Saga are peak fiction this season. And if anyone even remotely tries to tell me that the story of Demon Slayer... Dude, you are actually tripping if you think the story of Demon Slayer is bad. The story of Demon Slayer is above average, it's not crazy, but the story of Demon Slayer is not the focal point. It is a good enough story. The story of Demon Slayer is good enough, but then the animation and the music are unbelievably... God, dude, if this tier list was animation and music only, I would have all of these tiers, and then I would have S+, S++, S triple plus, and then S plus 20, and that's where Demon Slayer would be in terms of animation. But because this tier list is not only on animation, I will put Demon Slayer as the highest in S tier for now. We'll get to Vinland Saga. You know what? In fact, I have no enemies. Vinland Saga is fucking peak fiction. This show, listen, Vinland Saga and Demon Slayer are the two best shows by far this season. They probably deserve their own tier. But the number of people who shit on these two shows is insane. It just goes to show you that some people are just gonna talk garbage on a show just because they think that just because the show gets too popular. But in terms of animation and music, Demon Slayer completely elevates the industry. Demon Slayer is on a completely different level. In terms of story quality, Vinland Saga is unrivaled. Vinland Saga's story is unmatched. I know that season 2 of Vinland Saga is slow, and in that sense, it is actually quite similar to ReZero, because ReZero season 2 also had a slow story, but this story, it's not slow bad, it is slow and good. It is a philosophical story, it has multiple cultural inspirations, it builds up the characters, it has insanely good character development for Thorfinn. Dude, Thorfinn is such a good character that even if season 2 was him eating shit for the entire 24 episode period, I would still put it in S tier. That's how good Thorfinn is of a character. Thorfinn Karlsefni is probably one of the best characters I have ever seen in my life. And these two shows, Demon Slayer and Vinland, I cannot stress enough how good these two shows are. Now again, Demon Slayer's story is not anything too crazy. It is above average, it does what it's supposed to do, but the animation is insane. And you cannot look at and by the way, some people are gonna tell me that, I know, but, oh man, I should have said this earlier, because now, here's what's gonna happen now. The people who are gonna skip to the tier list and see the final rankings, they're gonna now go to the comments and start telling me that Demon Slayer animation of season 3 was garbage. I should have said this earlier. Have you seen episode 5 and the final episode? The animation in those two episodes it was way better than anything we have seen before. Now, I would say the only episode from season 2 that rivals the animation of episode 5 of season 3 and the final episode of season 3 are probably the fight between Tengen and Gyotaro in season 2. That's probably the only episode that probably rivals and even surpasses season 3. Regardless, Demon Slayer, Vinland Saga, they are peak fiction, they are peak anime. If you want to watch them, in fact, you probably need to watch these two shows. They are very good, especially Vinland Saga. Amazing, amazing show. The character development of Thorfinn the evolution of his friend Einar, the story, the characters, the foils, how deep the story is. There are very, very few, not just animes by the way, there are very few stories in general that can reach the same level of quality as Vinland Saga. I will probably be making a video in the future about Vinland Saga just to talk about how good this show is. Same thing with Demon Slayer. Two unbelievably good shows. This, and actually, you know what? Demon Slayer also introduced the full model of Yorichi this season, and Yorichi alongside Thorfinn are two of my favorite anime characters of all time. But regardless, now I am working on a bunch of videos, so I'll probably have a Beidou guide for Genshin Impact that will be coming out soon. And after that, I am also working on a Kaya guide. I know a lot of people have been asking me about a Kaya guide, especially now that Kaya is getting a skin. I should probably start finishing up that. I already have the gameplay recorded, but stay tuned if you are interested in the Beidou guide. I will be releasing a Beidou guide for Genshin. She is a very, very strong character, and I will explain why that is the case in that video. But again, this is my tier list. If you disagree, that is absolutely fine. If you do not, and by the way, I should have also said this earlier. This is my bad. I should have said this earlier. If you think Vinland Saga and Demon Slayer, if you do not like them, it is fine. It's completely fine not to like them. But if you say that these are bad shows, that is objectively wrong. They are good shows. I personally do not like the Villainess anime, but I know that it is good, which is why I put it in A tier, because I know that people who like this genre, they will really like this show because the quality of this show is actually high. Same thing with Insomniacs After School. I do not like Insomniacs After School, but I think it is a good show, so in my honest opinion, in my fair opinion, it is an A tier show. But again, this is a tier list. They are always going to be controversial because people only care about where their favorite show is, and they come to reaffirm what they think through other people. But alas, if you agree with my recommendations, basically I highly recommend anything in A tier, and I absolutely recommend the S tier, 5 S tier shows, especially Vinland Saga, Oshinoko, and Demon Slayer. These 3 are absolutely amazing. And Vinland Saga is probably on a completely different level. But this is all I have for now. Beidou guide coming out soon. After that, top 10 quality of life changes for Fontaine. And please take care. I will see you all in the next time.